I had a lot of correspondence with folks, um, between the webinars that we've done here, and there's been quite an interest in people coming up together and doing all this in groups, your own group, not just this group here where we meet once in a while, but your own groups. And I know Janet Dean has been doing that for some time in Ireland, and others are wanting to do it. And Celia, I'm gonna unmute you. Are you there, Celia?
Yes. Hi, Gary. Do you hear me?
I hear you well. Yes, thank you.
Hi, everybody.
Okay. Celia was on the webinar I did with France here recently, and she was asking me about groups, and particularly doing groups with children. Celia, you do, if I understand it right, you do optimal EFT groups with your own children, correct?
Yes, we created kind of a small group with my kids. I have 3 daughters.
So tell us, Celia, what happens? What kind of results are you having with your kids?
Okay, first, my kids are used to basic taping. We do it usually every time we have a problem at home. And after I took part of the last webinars on Saturday, I tried it with them. The first time I tried it, I had one of my daughters who had probably beginning of tonsillitis.
Of what?
Tonsillitis.
Oh, tonsillitis, okay. And by the way, just so I interject, a moment ago you said your children were used to, I think you said the word taping, but it's really tapping. They're used to the tapping form. Okay, so go ahead, yeah. Yeah,
please translate my English if you need.
Okay.
And she had a very high fever, and she was really miserable. She was lying on her bed, and she asked me for medicine to have the temperature lower. And so I prepared it for her, and then probably she just drank a little bit, and then I asked for the others to make the group and to make what I understood about optimal EFT. That means create a circle full of love, feeling the love in our heart, and extend it to our small group. And I proposed them to extend it to other people if they felt like. And the younger one proposed to include their dad, who was very far away, but they wanted him to be part of the therapy. And it lasts probably 2 minutes. And after 2 minutes, she fell asleep. Immediately, she was very quiet, and she had a lovely smile on her face, like she had a beautiful dream.
Uh-huh.
And she slept for the whole night without waking up, even though she had very high fever. And then the next morning, she had no more fever, no more sore throat. Yes, and just muscle pain probably, but much less than if the normal process of tonsillitis would go on normally.
All right, great. Well, okay. So how old are your children?
So that time, the one who was sick is 8.
8.
The younger is 5, and the older is 11.
Okay. Now, I don't have any experience with groups like this with children. That's why I wanted you to come on here so others can learn from what you're doing. It's my perception, and apparently it's not a very good perception of mine, that to do this with children, there would be some challenge in that, because many of them don't even know what a therapist is, for example, let alone an unseen therapist. But I gather you didn't bother with those metaphors. You just talked about love. But correct me. What did you do?
Yeah, exactly. Probably my kids are all already used to alternative therapy. Probably I'm osteopath myself.
Uh-huh.
And usually they don't have antibiotics or this kind of things. So probably they are already a little bit open to this kind of
okay.
Things.
All right. So
they were really not. For them it was absolutely not a problem.
Okay.
To feel love and to imagine that it could have a result.
Yeah. Okay. Now, have you done this with some frequency? Just once? 10 times? What?
Then in the next days, I did it a second time with the same very good efficiency. And then I did it for smaller injuries, but every time, just the fact that we connect and sit together, connect and let someone help us, made the children really quiet and happy, when usually it's hard for them to show empathy to the others. And that way they can really do it without any problem.
So if I got that correctly, one of the side benefits of this has been your children have been able to get more empathy with each other as a result of joining in this process.
Right, right.
Okay. All right. It would seem to me that if people had children and wanted to do this, one of the hurdles or challenges might be to get the necessary rapport and have them do this. Your children are already oriented in this direction just because of your own processes yourself. But I would love to hear from other people who try this. Okay. Do you have anything else that you can tell us about that would be useful?
Yeah, I don't know if when we practice together, if you mentioned that we can invite other people that are not taking part of the group, because my daughter proposed it, and I think it was really helpful.
Okay.
Like they invited their dad to take part of the group, even though he was not there, even though he would probably not do it.
Yeah,
himself.
and that would fall into the area that we are all one. And you don't even need to be there. Space does not really matter. Time does not really matter, and so on in this spiritual dimension. It's been my experience that you would get better results if you're actually involving the person in it. But I don't have every answer at this point, but to bring other people in, even without their knowledge, is likely beneficial to me. Probably more beneficial if they were involved. But do you have any thoughts on that?
No, I just wanted to add, sorry, I got a little bit lost.
That's okay.
Apparently the children have much less limits. It was absolutely not a problem for them to imagine love and to extend it to the others, and
yeah.
Like, it was really not a problem.
Okay, well, that's my inexperience speaking when I'm talking about these things. But yes, children tend to have much less baggage than adults do, and many of them get right into this better than we could. But what I'd like to do is have more people do this and report to me, so I get more and more feedback about how this might be done. Okay. Anything more, Celia?
No, so far no. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much for sharing. I'm going to go on now to Erwin. Erwin, I'm going to unmute you. Are you there?
I'm here.
You're there. Good. Okay, Erwin.
You're here.
Okay. Say something so we can see your video.
Okay. I'm
there
here.
You are. Yeah. Okay. All right.
Okay. Good.
All right. Good. All right. So I called you several days ago.
Yes.
And I suggested you pair up with another lady. I don't have her permission to use names and all that kind of stuff yet. I didn't talk to her about this. But you pair up with a lady, and the two of you do your own two-person group?
Yes.
Okay.
I really like it. When I first got on, when you first started these webinars, that's what I wanted to do. I asked some people locally, but they weren't interested, even to work. So I thought, well, maybe something one day will come from this webinar, maybe. And I read that thing you had, I forgot the woman's name and I couldn't find it again, where she has a small group. They meet once a week at their house.
That's Janet Dean in Ireland.
Janet Dean. And I thought, that's perfect. If I could just manifest that, but I couldn't do it locally. And then you called me up and suggested this person, and it's great. We can meet 2 or 3 times a week, or as many times as we want, and it's almost more organic. We can just do whatever we want, kind of thing.
Sure. Yeah, when you attend this webinar, I mean, there's a lot of people on it,
Right.
And you can't always just say what you want to say and interface and react like you'd like to.
Yes.
I mean, it's a great information source and a launching pad, so to speak. But
yeah.
Give us some examples of what you're doing with this two-person group that you particularly like.
Well, we've decided. Well, last time we just worked on what's it called, expanding love, and that seemed like the most important thing to be doing. So we would do expanding love, and then tap on all the blocks we have. Then we do it again, and it's great because we can do it as many times as we want. We get feedback, and without having such a large group, it's easier to say things. You know, you don't have to censor them as much. You have to.
Yeah.
So we've been focusing on that rather than our specific problems. But you know, it may change. It's all changing, but that felt good. It felt good trying to expand. And what when I do is I bring in the whole group that's here. You know, all these people that I've met. I mean, we haven't actually met. Hello, how are you doing?
Yeah.
But I bring all them into my imagination. And I bring in my daughter. I haven't asked my daughter any permission, but I bring her in too, for the
All right. Okay, good. But you mentioned, I'm going to pick up on a couple of things you said there. And that is you are focusing not on your specific physical ailments, which both of you have.
Yes.
But rather on expanding love. And optimal EFT, of course, focuses on the ultimate cause of all our ailments being, lack of love is one way to say it, but true forgiveness, which is to recognize this whole thing is a dream, an illusion. We want to see the essence of people, not all their behaviors around it. And we're going to spend more and more time on that today, again, with Claudia, like we did last time. Okay. And so to me, you're chipping away at the ultimate cause. At least this is the optimal EFT approach, at the ultimate cause of the physical issues.
Yes.
Also you said in there that, and this is something that I suggested and put forward on the webinar last time, that you would tap on the blocks.
Yeah.
Now, optimal EFT doesn't really need to have tapping. I'm using tapping for that one purpose, and I'll do it again today as we get further and further into some of these things. But I want people to know you can actually get rid of these blocks and barriers by using unseen therapists just as well as you can with the tapping, and maybe even better. I bring the tapping up because people are used to it, and it's quickly done, and not everybody's able to bring an unseen therapist as fluently as somebody else might, and so on. So we're sort of tiptoeing into that. Okay, that's me talking for a while. Do you have any other thoughts?
I know. I'm hoping that maybe there'll be more groups. Maybe we can even get 4 people in our group one day. You don't want it too big, because if it's too big, then I don't think it's as much fun. Unless you're present with them, then it can be a bigger group. But when you're doing it just through Skype, I don't know if Skype can do 3 or 4 people at once. I don't know how.
Thank you for that. And here I'm going to mention something to everybody. I would like to have those interested in doing groups make a note of this and send me an email indicating your interests. You send me that email by going to the contact form on our website. Just send me the email, but tell me, are you willing to host it? Or would you just only want to join? I mean, give me some sense of that. And what I will do once I gather in together all these things is I will either pair people up, or I'll put something on our website where you can connect with each other. I mean, I'll find some way to do this. so you guys can do that. And as far as the Skype thing is concerned, technically you can do up to 10 people with Skype, no charge, nothing, okay?
Wow.
However, from a technical point of view, Skype does not have the technological muscle that Zoom has that we're using here. And so if you go to 10, you're gonna have some probable connection problems. But if you limit it to like 5, typically not a problem at all. Okay. Anyway.
Can I say one more? Can I say one more thing?
Yeah, please.
I want to reiterate what is it, Celia? That's her name?
Celia, yeah.
I think work with children is so important because, I mean, children are, like you already said, they are so open and they are already so loving and they don't have many blocks.
Yes.
I mean, depending on how bad their childhood was, but most of them don't. And I'm looking forward to, I know several children that I can try. I haven't been able to get out much lately, but I want to really try this kind of work because children are so open and loving. And right, all you need is 1 2-minute session. You don't even have to have, okay, where are the blocks? Let's tap on that. Children are, so I encourage anyone that can try with their children. My child is in her 40s, but but young children that don't have a lot of blocks. So that's great.
Yeah, and you can reduce their baggage at very early ages, so they have less and less to carry around as they become adults. Okay.
Yeah, when they see that they can really heal themselves doing these very simple things, I think it's a great tool for them.
Yes. Yes. Okay. All right, Erwin. Thank you so much. I'm gonna mute you, and we're gonna go on in a moment to Claudia, but not quite yet. I got to look at a little note here. Oh, yeah, before we go to Claudia, I got one other thing I have to mention for everybody. And that is I have recently put up on our blog the first of a series that I'm putting forward for you folks for self-help in this process. I've done many recorded sessions on Skype, etc., with people with a variety of issues. And I recorded everything. We went through the entire optimal EFT process. Everything was discussed from beginning to end in the whole thing. And the first one of those is by a lady named Marcia. And the way to find Marcia is to go to our blog and just put in the search engine Marcia, M-A-R-C-I-A, and there you will find an entire series of more than 10 sessions that I did with her. Her particular issue was adrenal fatigue. But now I have to really mention something here. These self-help sessions are called universal self-help sessions. It doesn't matter that her particular physical ailment was adrenal fatigue. It just doesn't matter because we're using the same approach. Whether somebody has adrenal fatigue, rheumatoid arthritis, multiple sclerosis, cancer, or any one of a number of different ailments, the whole idea of this is we have all these ailments because we don't have peace in our system. We can bring peace by mechanically tapping. We can bring peace better by bringing an unseen therapist. So what I'm pointing out to you is that while Marcia's issue is adrenal fatigue, it doesn't matter because if you put yourself in Marcia's shoes in these sessions, this is what they're designed to do, and do the exercises as she does them with me, it is the same that we would be doing for you if you had some other ailment, whatever label you want to give it. Very important to understand that, okay? And so there they are, and they're free for you. Take your time with them. Go through them step by step. Digest them. There's a lot of not only healing work in there, but there's a lot of the philosophy, a lot of the unfolding of the optimal EFT process. They are teaching sessions in and of themselves. Okay. Now, just one other thing about Marcia. When I started with Marcia, her adrenal fatigue was so severe that she told me up front she didn't want to have any more than a 20-minute session with me because she was afraid she would, after that, tank physically for several days. That's how severe it was to begin with. At the end, there is no adrenal fatigue problem whatsoever. But how we get there, the progress we made, the backsliding, all of that's very real. And so I'm emphasizing that to you, and she is the first of several such universal self-help sessions I'm going to be putting up. Okay, now. All right. Now, Claudia, if you would please, I'm unmuting you. Are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you say a little bit more so your video shows up.
Okay, I'm here. I'm talking.
There you are.
There we are.
Now, I talked to you the other day, Claudia.
Yes.
And you had a new addition to your wardrobe. Did you not?
Mm-hmm.
Would you mind displaying that for us?
Well, the first one or the second one?
Either one.
Okay.
Okay. Now, I did the same thing a few times ago. Okay. And I went ahead and sent that to you, but you went off and bought some green ones, didn't you?
I did.
You want to model your green one?
Because green is my favorite color, but the red is beautiful.
Okay. All right. Well, we do that. We do that just to lighten up a little bit. We get sometimes overly serious about all this,
Mm-hmm.
and joy, by the way, is part of love, and we might as well just
Yes, it
kick
is.
a little bit of that in there. Okay. Okay. We're going to continue on in a bit.
Mm-hmm.
What we were doing last time, getting a little more deeper
Yes.
water with seeing the essence in other people and so on.
Mm-hmm.
But we also had a discussion about your use of optimal EFT with
Yes.
animal, horses in this case.
Yes. Uh-huh.
And you were going to sort of bring that down to a simple little
Mm-hmm.
discussion, but go ahead.
So this person asked me to do some wound care on this animal as a nurse, clean it with saline and, do antibiotics and so on. But when we started, he had 3 rather large issues to heal. And I asked her, I said, would you be open to my doing some optimal EFT on him as I do this other stuff? And she said, okay. So he had 2 sarcoid tumors removed from his belly, and it's sort of an autoimmune disease, and it's a tumor caused by inflammation.
And this is a horse, right?
This is a horse.
Yeah. Okay.
So they take the hair off, and one of them was quite deep. It was a ½ centimeter, which is all the way down to where the muscle starts, down to
Mm-hmm.
the fascia. Then he also had stem cells injected into one leg that was injured, and that's part of regenerative medicine. It's not brand new, but it's been around for a while. We're doing it with humans as well because stem cells can change into whatever they need to become. So these are injected into the leg, and they heal the ligament. And he also then had a neurological thing that popped up where he was shaking his head all the time and very agitated, running around in his stall. And it was actually quite dangerous because he's huge. So I did optimal EFT on all 3 things. And in a very short period of time, things healed. The tumors, the skin grew up to the hair level within about 2 weeks, which generally speaking, it takes 2 months.
Okay.
And it healed very, very quickly. As a matter of fact, it went above the skin. So then I had to stop doing that because it was growing too much. The leg, this just happened this week. The vet, after it's been a month, she did an ultrasound on the leg to see whether or not it had healed. She couldn't find the spot that they were trying to heal. So she ultrasounded the other leg thinking, oh, I'm on the wrong leg.
Okay.
But that's clearly the point to which it had healed. And we would expect to see where it was injected because there should have been some scar tissue there. she couldn't find it. Then the third thing, which was the shaking the head and the agitation, to really find out what exactly it was, we would have had to do an MRI on the horse, and you have to put them out. And that was too dangerous for him a second time so soon. So the MRI wasn't done, but this was to the point of complete agitation, and he got to the point where he's very quiet. We were able to put him in cross ties, which is, where you tie a horse with a halter and keep him tied up. Prior to that, he would start shaking, get really agitated, and it was too dangerous to tie him up that way. So all three things resolved.
All right. In much shorter time than typical.
Well, the vet was in shock.
Okay.
She couldn't believe it happened.
Well, we've had lots of stories similar to that with the tapping form of EFT. I mean, doctors go, huh? Okay. Because they just don't expect these things to happen. Last time, Claudia, you helped us, we're going to do it again this time at a deeper level, with seeing the essence of someone else.
Yes.
Okay. Now, I want to spend a little time, like we did last time, on the essence of somebody. And so we're going to divide somebody into two parts, okay? Part is their personality, we called it last time, their behaviors, their features, their achievements, their personality, their smile, their irritations, all of that, that's personality. The other is their essence, the loving nature that we all share that's at the center of all of us. Did I say that correctly?
Yes.
Okay. And so what we did last time was you picked out somebody, and so did everybody else in the audience, picked out somebody that you really, really, really liked.
Yes.
Okay. Had great affection for. And then we efforted at seeing beyond their personality stuff.
Right.
And seeing only the loving essence, at the center, if you will. And we did that visually, if that's the way people like to do it. If you're more kinesthetically oriented, we would sort of feel, this essence, okay? Feel this thing inside them. Or hear, maybe it's music, maybe it's a babbling brook, maybe it's some peaceful sound, but hear the peace, the love, etc. It's within them. And you did that.
Yes.
And you ran into some blocks, did you not?
I did.
Okay. As did other people. Because you could expand this thing and only go so far, and you get a little self-talk maybe, or a little what if, a little but that, or some, yes?
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Almost every time.
Okay. So then we would deal with the blocks. We used some tapping last time.
Right.
We're going to do tapping this time as well. But we're also going to bring in, as a practice, unseen therapist. Okay. So we're going to do something today very similar, okay? And it's going to be, instead of somebody we really like, oh, by the way, I forgot to say something. The idea about doing somebody you like is it's easier to do because there's less and less barriers with somebody that you really like.
Right.
So what you try to expand, it's easier to expand it and expand it and expand it, okay? And the more you practice that and the better you get at that with somebody you really like, then trying to do it with somebody you don't like is going to be easier because you've got some more practice leading up to it.
Right.
Okay. So now we're going to do this, you and I, and the group will follow along with their own examples for themselves with somebody that you don't like. Now, surely there is somebody in your world you don't like.
Oh, they come up in a second.
Okay. For the moment, we only need to choose one.
Yes.
Okay. And you and I don't need to know who that one is or any of these other details. Okay. We don't need to know for this purpose because that person has some very irritating things about them.
Mhm.
and they have a loving, peaceful nature that's maybe hard to see. Would I be correct?
Yes. And we would always say, maybe they have a loving nature. Maybe not.
Okay. But let's talk about that. Yeah, thank you. Let's talk about that because somebody can really irritate you, do you in, cheat you, steal from whatever. Okay, gossip about you, do all these nasty things, and it's very hard to see that they actually are like you.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Because you irritate other people, do you not?
Absolutely not. Of course. Yes.
Somebody out there saying, I don't know about this Claudia thing. She does this, I don't know, But the idea is we are all one. And this is a great exercise to bring this up because we start to see with this our true barriers to, whoa, I get this sort of academically, but we're all one except for that one.
Right.
Nonetheless, just like we talked about last time, Claudia, the people that you see that you see in them things you like about you. They are mirrors to you.
Correct.
Okay. And what you see in people you don't like are also mirrors to you. You are seeing things. Maybe you wouldn't do those precise behaviors.
Right.
But you have that potential someplace, or you've done something parallel somewhere, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, am I putting words in your mouth, or are you?
No, and that's the hard thing to acknowledge.
Yeah. Okay. But this is going to be part of that because see, if our ultimate goal here is true forgiveness, we see the love in everyone. That means everyone, and we are all one.
Right.
So if you're throwing stones at somebody mentally, or however you're doing it,
mm-hmm.
you are actually shutting the door on your own awareness of love's presence.
Correct.
Okay.
But, we've spent a lot of time believing this, that, that person is, or whatever, or there are others out there that are, not like me. Not
yes,
true.
Of course. And it's a great, thank you for that. It's a great testament, if you will, to the guard at the gate.
Mm-hmm.
One of the great tools the guard at the gate has is, you see those people out there, how bad they are. You need to protect you, individual, separate you, from those individual, separate bad things out there. And here we come with a great message: separate, 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 separate.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's only when
I'm glad you brought that up. That protecting ourselves becomes a very big thing for a lot of us.
Yes, and that is what we do. We tend to protect ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
But what's interesting is the more you study A Course in Miracles and get deeper and deeper into the entrails of this process, mm-hmm. what you're really doing is not protecting yourself from those imaginary things out there that we're actually making up.
Right.
You are protecting yourself from love.
Right.
You are saying, no, I don't want to be immersed in all this love and be one with all these other people because I am separate and got to look out for me.
Right. We don't even see it.
No, we don't.
It's out there. We don't feel it. We feel completely alone. And there, when somebody says something like that, or you read something like that love is everywhere, love is available to us all, abundance is there, we say, no, that's not true.
Well, we may say academically, I think I like that idea. In fact, you might even attend a webinar like this, which this idea is central, because I kind of like that. But this practice we're going to do is a beginning practice, so to speak. We're going to spend some time on it, but it's the kind of thing that we need to get into, understand, pull it apart, look at its details, see what's really happening, and practice, 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 practice. Because this is the kind of thing, this is the key, one of the keys, I'm going to give several other ways to go about this as time unfolds. But one of the major keys to open this door to this oneness, to be one with love, and to get to the point where our physical ailments tend to subside and fade, and all the other issues that we have tend to subside and fade because we recognize they're part of an illusion. Okay, so now, Claudia, you have this sinister character in mind, do you not?
I do.
Okay, and I believe I know who it is, and we can at least say it's a he, can we not?
No, this time it's going to be a she.
Oh, it's going to be a she. Oh, okay, it's going to be a she. Okay, okay. All right, so then I have no idea. I can only guess who this might be, but whatever. Okay. So, does this person have a loving essence at their center?
Intellectually, yes.
You know, I'm seeing a few videos, you know, surrounding our video here, and I can see smiles on people. I think people are understanding this, okay? Okay, so intellectually, yes, okay. Are you going to be able to find this center at all with this practice?
That's the point, isn't it?
That is the point. That is the point.
No, she does. She does.
Well, no, are you talking academically or?
No, at one point in time I saw it.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. All right. But her behaviors are pinching on you big time. Do I have that right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
And I have done work on it, but there's clearly more to do.
Okay.
So thank you.
Well, okay, but it's a preamble. And for everybody else listening in, whoever you guys may have chosen, you may make some good progress today. You may make just a little progress. You may make no progress, but all of that is progress, because if you make no progress at all, you are seeing how clearly stuck you are, okay, with this, you know, and how much work you have to do, because that ability to not see love in somebody else despite all the other stuff is something you need to work on for you. Ultimately, you need to be able to see this loving nature in everyone, okay? So if this person had a loving peace, what would it be?
You know, she can be very generous. That's part of personality as well, but, you know, it's part of that loving. The love that we emanate to others is wanting to be helpful, wanting to show kindness.
Okay. Take her back to age 1 day when she's an infant and a baby. Has had no real interface with the world, hasn't been abused herself in any way, shape, or form, hasn't had to compete with the world and you know, find her way in it and develop her own behaviors and personalities and so on. Take her back to baby time.
Okay.
If you did that, can you see the loving spark?
Oh, yes.
You can. Okay. Okay. Now, this is just discussion purposes, okay? Would I be correct in assuming that all these things we're calling her, I mean, her irritating manners would be because of things that have happened in her life between the time she was that little baby and now?
Yes.
Okay.
And, you know, we had those conversations in the past. You know, I've done some sessions for her as well.
Okay. All right. Well, would it be useful for you if we presume she was this infant, this baby, this innocent, if you will, baby, who has not been jaded by the world and all of its stuff that we have to go through? Can you then see the loving essence in the baby?
It's much easier then, yes.
Okay. So what we're going to do here is we're going to have you And others can do the same thing. I'm just giving you ideas out there, folks. You can use your own way of going about this. But for you, Claudia, let's just assume that this person, and I'm going to do a similar thing, by the way, with somebody that irritates me. I'm going to see their baby. Okay? All right. And others can do the same thing or just see the person themselves, whatever. But what we want to do is close our eyes, see only this baby with this essence in it, this innocent baby that doesn't even know what the world is about yet, is needful of mother's milk, needful of love, needful of caring, and so on. They're just in that place. And so what we want to do is close our eyes, and we want to experience that love. Hold on a second. I'm going to get a stopwatch out here. And then once we've experienced it, try to expand it, intensify it, make it bigger, because you're looking at somebody that is really you. So the more you can see them in this loving state, the more you will see and recognize your own loving state. Okay. And so we're going to try to expand it, and very important, very simple thing now. We're going to imagine the baby, try to expand it, and then the important thing is we're looking for barriers, we're looking for blocks, we're looking for self-talks. What's keeping you from expanding it, into the cosmos, okay? What's stopping you as you time? Do you have a remembrance of something? Or whatever, okay? Something's going to come up probably and stop you from this. Any questions about that?
No, and in the past, sometimes when I visualized expanding, so to speak, the loving essence, sometimes that was a block for me. Expanding, it's like I would get to a point and it's like the bubble's going to pop, so to speak.
Yeah.
So intensifying, I like when you use, for me that works, intensifying it.
Oh, okay.
Expanding it in the same, visually too, but because I'm also kinesthetic, intensifying resonates in a different way.
Yeah, and again, for people listening in, you may not want to see it that way. You may want to feel it that way or hear it that way or whatever fits for you. But you want, the better term is to experience it that way. And you can use either intensify or expand. I mean, they're in the same synonymous basket.
Right.
Okay. So what we're going to do is do that little exercise. See the essence in the baby, the love. Intensify, expand, and for 2 minutes. Then I'm going to check back in with you. Okay. Everybody else do the same thing. Take your own notes, everybody, because we will be discussing this later on. 2 minutes. See you in a bit.
Okay.
Okay, 2 minutes. So what happened, Claudia?
Very interesting. Of course, blocks came up. I did see the baby, and I was expanding the essence. And then an image of the person in now popped in.
Yes, it happened to me too. Happened to me too. All right, go ahead.
And very intensely, I saw her eyes, which are very, very intense. And for me, eyes are very important. That whole saying of, you see the soul in the eye. And then I would go back to the baby, and it popped in 3 times.
Yeah.
the
Okay.
image of the now person. Yeah.
Okay. So it's like the baby's essence you could find.
Yes.
But as you began intensifying and expanding, here comes the image of the other person, and I presume along with that, their irritating ways.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And
no,
so
she was just staring at me.
she was just staring at you. Okay. And you would have some emotions about that. You were
Oh, yes.
some fear, some anger, some whatever it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. And so that stopped?
Yeah. It was like a sudden whoop wall, and then I would have to literally say, okay, go back to the baby.
Yeah. So you go back to the baby. Nope, here she comes again. Go back to the baby. Here she comes
Mm-hmm.
again.
Yep.
All right. All right. All right. All right. All right. So, I mean, that's to me, that's important progress, because we're recognizing something going on there. We're recognizing that we're not able to see consistently love in everyone around us.
Right.
We had some difficulty, even those we had affection with.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But now, with somebody we don't like,
Right. It comes up that much faster.
It's in your face. Okay.
Yeah, literally.
I'll tell you what happened with I did the very same thing. I got the baby and I go, oh, that's really nice. And then all of a sudden, here he comes. Okay. And I went back, and here he came again. It's very similar to yours.
Mm-hmm.
But what came up for me, and this is something that comes up for me because of my own study with A Course in Miracles.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the features of A Course in Miracles, one of the things about A Course in Miracles is that it says people are doing one of 2 things. They're either exhibiting love or they are calling for it. And all of these things that irritate us, if we really step back and look at this, and this may be a subject that's a little deeper even than we're able to do here at the moment, but the deeper we look at it, the more we will recognize these irritating behaviors are people calling for love. They're saying, look at me, or I'm not complete, or I need something else here. I don't care that I step on somebody else. I justify it my own way, which they do.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And to them, they may well be saintly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And this is very much a part of this person. It is definitely about calling for love.
Okay. And so that is a very helpful way of looking at this. People
mm-hmm.
that are irritating us, that we don't like, or we detest, or those people out there that do all that stuff. Okay. If we recognize that they are really babies, they are really children with an essence, in a sense, like we are,
mm-hmm.
lost, separated, we believe, from our source, lost, and we do all of these things to complete ourselves, justify to ourselves, but we are calling for love. Please love me, please love me, please love me. Let me ask you something. Was Hitler doing that?
Absolutely.
Why would you say that? Here's somebody massacring millions of people. Was he calling for love?
He had to be. We all do.
Yeah.
We all do.
Yeah. Hitler was as the history books tell us, a very, very angry man. A man who needed to get attention. A man who had certain beliefs, who believed in them big time.
Mm-hmm.
but was calling for love. Look at me, listen to my beliefs, hear me, hear me, hear me. Okay. Not a very effective way of going about it, but that's the exaggerated case. Is there the essence of love in Hitler?
It's very hard to see, isn't it?
Yeah, very hard to see. Very hard to see. But once we recognize and finally get beyond these academic discussions that we are all one, and this belief in separation is nothing more than a belief, and the world we seem to see, like our scientists are telling us, is an illusion. It is a dream. As we graduate from the discussion of it to the owning of it, these things become clearer and clearer. And so this exercise we're having now about trying to see love everywhere, even in the most challenging of places, is well worth practicing, because there is the gate shut pretty tight.
Slammed, actually.
Slammed, actually, yes. Okay, so let's do this. Let's do another round of this, Claudia. And this time we're going to do some tapping, but we're also going to bring in unseen therapists as two ways to go about getting rid of these barriers. Okay. So, again, I understand folks out there have different ways of looking at these things and experience them, etc. So I'm asking you to draw your parallels for now, if you're not doing it exactly the way Claudia and I are. But okay, so you've got these barriers. So this lady person that you're talking about, her face shows up.
Yes.
Okay, and that knocks you off. That's a barrier. That knocks you off your mission.
Yes.
Okay. So this time we're going to do a little tapping and some unseen therapy, optimal unseen therapist stuff on this block. We're going to do it both ways. Then we're going to try it again, and let's see what happens.
Sure.
Okay? Okay. So let's do the tapping first. Even though I have this block,
Even though I have this block,
these glaring eyes that are showing right at me,
these glaring eyes that are staring right at me
and knocking me right off my path,
and knocking me right off my path,
I deeply and completely accept myself.
I deeply and completely accept myself.
Those staring eyes block.
Those staring eyes blocking me.
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 Okay, now we're going to do the same thing. We're going to bring unseen therapist in. So just as a little reminder here, we will get ourselves in a quiet state, loving state, bring in unseen therapist. We have identified the problem.
Yes.
Staring eyes in your case, whatever it is for people listening in, okay? And we're just asking for resolution of that. And we're going to do that. I'm going to give us 1 minute to do that in this case. Is that enough for you?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. We'll do that for 1 minute, and then we'll proceed.
Okay.
Okay, that's a minute. What happened, Claudia?
I felt it, brought in the light, and another block came up. I saw now the whole body of the person.
Okay. So another block. And what did the body, I mean, how was it a
I
block?
saw her walking away from me.
In a rejecting type manner?
No, no. I just didn't see the face, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Oh.
It's like, okay, the face is gone, but the body is there.
Okay, so I'm wondering if what really happened there is just not much because
Mm-hmm.
she's still there.
Right.
Okay. Well, we're going to do another
But
round.
it didn't have, you know, when the eyes were staring, they had, you know, kind of a viciousness is too strong of a word, but it was like, you know, a glaring, I guess, is the look. The body was just walking away, and it looked kind of relaxed and.
Was that an improvement of some kind?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
About that much.
You said that much, and then you went.
And I squished it. Yeah. No, it wasn't really that much.
Okay, but this is real stuff. Okay. Now, in my case, what happened was yes, here's the baby, or I could see this first person calling for help, which is what I saw originally. But as I brought in unseen therapists, I could see this person calling for help with this very irritating manners, but he softened. It was a soft. It was just like soft, like. Now I don't know whether that's him softening or me softening about him.
Right.
I suspect it's a little bit of, well, it would have to be me softening about him because he's not even here.
Right.
Well, actually he is, but he doesn't even know it. Okay, we're
Right.
all one. Okay.
But it's very similar because I didn't see the harshness. I saw, again, also a softer, you know, it was her relaxed and walking away from me.
Okay. Well, what we could do in this case is we could do another round of trying to take care of the block. I'm going to leave this to you. You want to do another round on this block, or do you want to go right back into it trying to see the essence and see where you go?
I think the second one. Let's
Okay.
try the essence.
All right. Okay, so that's a 2-minute deal. So we're going to close our eyes, baby thing, essence, try to see the essence of the person, see how far we can intensify, expand, etc.
Okay.
2 minutes. Okay, 2 minutes. What went on, Claudia?
It's always very interesting. At the beginning, the baby was there. I didn't leave the baby this time. Towards probably the middle of the minute, she popped in again. But this time she was sitting on the other side of the baby and looking at the baby, and she started crying.
Ah, meaning what to you?
What I felt was that we were both sending love to the baby.
The baby being her, the baby being her essence?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Am Go ahead.
And then I reached out my hand, and because I had the baby's hand in my left hand, and I reached out my hand and we held hands, she and I. There was a block there, however, because her hand felt sweaty.
Meaning what?
I don't know.
Well, okay, I'm gonna play psycho speak with you. If you did know, what would the reason be?
Fear.
Of?
Fear on her part of, and some on mine, of connecting. The block was, okay, is this person going to turn into the harsh again, or are we going to stay in this very gentle state?
Well, let's talk about the fear for a moment, because this manifests itself with people in different ways. But one of the possible fears is an underlying kind of thing we don't really think about consciously, is, my God, if I let down my barriers here and really let her in and really love her despite all this stuff, I'm going to lose my separateness. That may not be the way you'd say it,
right,
but I lose my, like we talked about earlier, my protection. I lose this thing around me, and now I've got to be love, and I'm not, oh my, I mean, that kicks around in there someplace for some people. Does that fit with you?
Yes. The loss of protection, I think, is there for all of us.
Yeah.
We can see it in different ways. For me, it comes up more like vulnerability. It's like, am I giving this person space to attack me or hurt me, or?
Yeah. Are they gonna find this little opening in my armor where they're gonna come in and exploit it and really do me in badly?
My Achilles tendon. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Okay. All right. And these things come up. Some of them are practical, I guess, within the separated world. But it's this kind of thing. See, at another level, if both of you, let's just speak for you. I can't speak for you. I'll speak for me. Okay. If I really let down 100% all the fears I might have about this, or the reservations, or whatever you want to call them, and really did all this and was really filled completely with love. And here I'm speaking about love of the same level that I experienced in my spiritual experience in 1988. That other person could do nothing to me and wouldn't want to, would just drop all of the would-be stuff they had about me, maybe lay it on somebody else, okay? Right. But there would just be, it would be too much to deal with from a loving point of view. There would be, it's like trying to argue with somebody who won't argue back. Right. I don't know how good an analogy that is, but it's in that ballpark anyway.
And also, if you are filled with the love and you lose your separateness, where are you? The ego, the monkey mind goes to, am I still me?
And that's the guard at the gate.
Right.
Yeah, that's the guard at the gate. Yeah. And so this is a step-by-step process. We do exercises like this. We get some ahas, etc. Does it bring love to everybody for all time because we did one exercise on a webinar on a Saturday morning? No. Is it a step in the right direction? Yes. Is it worth practicing? Yes. Now, we could, Claudia, go further with this, but what I'd like to do at the moment, since we have the basics of this down for everybody, well, let me back up. Would you like to go further? I'll put it that way.
I think for the group, it would be helpful to hear validation. You know, was it a similar experience or not, and what
kind of questions do they have, and how could we do it better? And I had this kind of a problem, and I didn't get that, and that kind of thing.
Because we all have resistance, and it's actually helpful to hear that it's not just ours. Again, the separation state.
Yeah. Okay. So I've got some. If you can raise your hands now if you want, and I've got one. I got some hands raised. One's Catherine. So Catherine.
Hi.
Hi.
Okay, I had two very, very different, interesting experiences. The first one, I had two different friends that I was trading off doing.
First of all, it's not Catherine, it's Kate, right?
Yes. Thank you for remembering me.
Yeah, you're at one of my workshops in Optimal EFT.
Yes, your first one. Thank you for remembering me. That makes me feel so good.
Okay, Kate. All right, go ahead.
Okay, so I was doing it with a friend with whom I have conflict. And every time I see her post on Facebook, I cringe and I contract. So I used her. And it was very easy to see her as a precious baby and pure. And so I shifted. I thought, oh, that's easy. That's too easy. I'll go to the Wicked Witch of the West, my mother.
Okay.
And honestly, an astrologer about 20 years ago just stopped in the middle of a session and went, oh, honey, you think you have father issues? Your mother is the wicked queen from Snow White. And I burst into tears because I knew he was right. She really had evil living in her. I didn't even believe in evil until I experienced her. So there's me, and I'm thinking, well, yes, everyone can be this innocent baby except her, because she has this vein of evil living in her, and I saw it. Then, and I guess I got out of the resistance pretty quickly, because all I had to hear myself say was, well, if we're all one, she cannot be evil. If we're all one, she cannot be evil. And I watched evil. It was a vein going all the way through her, just whoosh, rise right out of her and be gone.
Okay. Beautiful thing to have happen. And when you were, I'm curious, when you were dealing with the blocks, if you will,
Mm-hmm.
Did you have any problem bringing an unseen therapist for any blocks that you had?
Well, so we go back to the friend, because that was my mother, and that was fascinating, and I wanted to share that.
Yeah, okay.
But then I was working with this friend, and I brought in unseen therapist because I could see the beauty in her baby, but then there was the adult.
Yeah, okay.
And the adult was not innocent and precious the way the baby was. So I brought in unseen therapist, and she, the friend, contracted with unseen therapist. So I expanded unseen therapist way out of the perimeter of this friend's body, expanded her about this far out.
Uh-huh.
And she relented a little bit. She relaxed a little bit. So I expanded unseen therapist out even more until it felt like this woman was kind of in a womb of unseen therapist. And she relaxed a little bit more, then a little bit more. And what it felt like was that she was loving it and wanting it, but she just couldn't stay with it. And I suppose that's when I could have tapped on that. But instead, I just kept her in it and expanded unseen therapist more and kept her in it. And she was just thriving in it, but it didn't feel like it would last.
Okay. And that's a good comment. It didn't feel like it would last. And that would be typical, by the way.
Yeah.
Because we're beginning in a practice that is trying to chip away, a large stone, if you will. You've got to knock pieces of it off, et cetera. But after a while, you whittle it down, and pretty soon the stone, becomes something malleable, and you can toss it all away. But it takes a while to get there. And yes. My guess is, for most of us, this has been a good experience, but a temporary one.
Right.
Because the next time we see the person or your mother or whatever, is all going to be well and in pieces and, you know, roses and all that? Maybe not. Will it be better? Maybe. And the more you do it, the better it will be, and so on.
Mm-hmm.
I want to go back to the evil mother for a moment.
Okay.
Okay. This is really, really hard to do, typically, but I'm going to ask you anyway.
Okay.
When you see the evil mother, who I gather is evil because of things she has done, maybe in an abusive way, etc., to you as the years have gone by in your childhood and so on, is it possible for you to see yourself within your mother?
Is it possible for me to see myself within my mother?
Well, I didn't say that right.
Okay.
Is it possible? Okay. We are all one. We are mirrors to each other. We see in people we like things we like about ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
We see in people we don't like, including evil mothers,
Mm-hmm.
things we don't like about ourselves. Again, we may not have done her behaviors and this
Mm-hmm.
kind of thing, but we have the potential for that, or we've done something like that, or there's been some parallel out there. And that is why we don't like them. It doesn't seem that way, but I'm pointing that out to you as the possibility and asking you if that makes any sense to you.
It would make sense to me with other people, not her. Only because she is a very unique example. She was pretty hideous to everyone and died a hideous death and was alone and miserable. And I have to say, I do, as you're saying this, and I'm wanting to be open to it, I do see myself sort of as the anti-her, if that makes sense, you know.
Okay.
I'm everything she wasn't. So that would absolutely say yes, that I see myself in her, because
Well, in a way, and I don't want to sit here and be some kind of a psychoanalyst or something like that.
mm-hmm.
But one way to look at that is, mother does this, and this.
Mm-hmm.
And boy, I sure don't want to be like that myself. I'm going to do everything I have to take any potential I would have to be that. And I'm going to conduct myself in this other way over here.
Could be that, yeah.
Okay. Well, I don't know.
I don't either. And again, she's a very bizarre example.
Okay.
Because she really was a weird person. But with these other people, can I see myself in the things that I don't like about them? Yeah.
Okay. Well, all right. The ultimate challenge for you would be your mother. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
That would be the ultimate challenge. That's a biggie. It's a biggie. Okay. So, and it would be useful, since she is such a block for you currently,
Mm-hmm.
to start doing this practice with those you like and get better and better and better with those you like. And then maybe those you don't like quite so much, you know, and gradually build up to the big one, you know. But ultimately, we need to be free of all of this.
What it feels like I need to do is do this often.
Yes.
See her, see the evil, you know, we are one, see the evil leave. Do it so frequently that till I get to the point where I don't see the evil anymore.
I have a belief I developed many years ago, which I talked about often as I would do my workshops with the tapping form of EFT and all of that. And that is, everyone does the best they can, given their own background, their own conditioning, their own abuses, their own experiences, etc. They are doing the best they can. That's a belief that I carry around within myself. I have for years. Is it absolutely true? Well, you know, I lean that way. Or could there be exceptions? Well, maybe, but it's a very useful belief.
I believe the same thing.
Okay.
Totally.
Would that include your mother? She's doing the best she could?
She did. I think she was doing the best she can. As minimal as that might have been, I think she was. I really do think she was doing the best she can.
Yeah, given her own background, wherever she came from, abuses she may have had, and all of that.
Right. Whatever she brought in with her, all that. Yeah.
Yeah, doing the best she could. That may be a helpful belief for you. Okay,
right.
Great. Thank you so much, Kate.
Thanks, Gary.
Virginie, Virginie. Are you there?
Okay. Yes,
Okay.
I'm here.
Okay,
Could
good.
you hear me?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Hello, everybody.
Hi.
I just wanted to share what happened for me now.
Sure.
I just took it's a person I know from meditation. I don't hate her, far from that, but I had some irritating issues with her in the past, and I dealt with them with EFT, but still it stays, something stays between us. And,
Yes.
so I took her. I imagined her as a baby, growing the love, expanding the love. I had no difficulty to do that at first, but when we did it the second time, it didn't come something from me, but something from her. I saw her crying a lot, like a despair. I know she lost her child, and I really felt like if she was just next to me, and I felt it was a kind of a block for her, preventing her to expand her love. I don't know if I'm clear, but...
Well, what I'm hearing in that, Virginia, is this is a form of her calling for love, the crying, etc.
Yeah, anyway, I really saw her and I felt her very, very strongly. Like it was really that. And I could feel her despair. And I sent her the unseen therapist. And but then I stopped because you started to talk again.
She had a similar experience to mine where she saw the person with her crying.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. I wasn't with you in that circumstance, Virginia, but did the experience of her crying, did that expand or improve your sense of love for this person?
Yes, definitely. Definitely.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So there would be a beginning value in that. Do this more and more and more. You'll see more and more about her, and your response to all this will be more and more consistent the more you practice it. So Cheryl and Howard, welcome again, you guys.
Oh, thank you. If you'd like a little update about Howard, he's now going to be going through physical rehab. He was cleared by the surgeon and cleared by the cardiologist.
And no heart medication needed. No
heart medications now.
Okay, for those that are new here, I mean, you had open heart surgery here a while back.
Yes.
Bypasses, valve replacement, things like that. Okay. And when you say no medications needed and all of that, is that unusual? Is that something that likely happened because of optimal EFT exercises? Yes, no? Can you tell?
I would think so. I would think it was quite a help.
Mm-hmm.
Normally you end up on some medications. But apparently there was no heart attack that they could detect, and so the replacement didn't have, they couldn't find scar tissue. So when they put everything back, and since I'm against medication to start with, the cardiologist looked at it and said, well, we should take you off of all medication at this point, I guess.
Agreed with him pursuing his own medications.
Okay. Which is vitamins.
Which is nutrients.
Vitamins and AFT and whatever else.
And real salt.
Yeah. But I'm using you. When I went to the hospital yesterday for a stress test, the nurse there, somehow he got on the topic of...
She couldn't believe he was going so far.
Of pain. She was hurting.
And she was hurting.
I did optimal EFT. She says, what are you doing?
You did it silently without telling her.
Yeah, while we were talking. And I asked her for a level. She said, it's gone. Absolutely gone. And I explained it to her. I gave her your website and said, go there and look.
Okay. Well,
everybody, but you had a question, Cheryl.
Well, wait. First of all, what you were doing there, Howard, if I see it right, It's important for people to understand this. It's a level of EFT that we can all do. It's called, I call it conversational EFT.
Yes.
We don't really have to close our eyes and bring it in and go through all of that. We don't really have to do that. Yeah. We can do it just in conversation, but it takes practice.
He's been practicing.
Yeah.
Yeah. The nurse said to me, she said, well, we were talking and you talked about GMO and nobody's ever talked about that before with me, but she's into it. But she said, I would have written you off as another nut. We get a lot of crazy people in here.
This is one of the top heart centers in the country.
Yeah. Okay.
She said, I felt that. And here I'm sitting, you know, about 4 feet away from her. And we're having just talking. And so she's going to come to your website and look.
Okay. Anyway, you had a response. You had a response to our exercise here.
Yeah, you had a question.
Yes. I had an interesting variation there with I'm bringing in a family member that I've always had difficulty with, and I've tried a lot of things to overcome my feelings, done a lot of EFT with it as well as other processes. But I thought I would be, I mean, I'm more at ease with him now, but I decided to use the lifelong irritations and so forth for this exercise. So I went to his birth, and it suddenly occurred to me, oh, well, hey, we've been reading Ibn Alexander's book, The Proof of Heaven.
Yes.
Which helps tremendously with doing EFT.
Yeah.
So there's one thing he said in there was that there was, the whole week he was in that coma, humongous coma, it rained constantly. And he said, our emotions affect the weather. Well, the bringing in and birthing of this boy was during a shurga, which I don't know if you know what that is. It's a humongous sandstorm. And we were in Morocco at the time, you know, Western Africa, so Northwestern. So this huge sandstorm, and that immediately I'm going, yep, he brought that shurga in with his birth. And I could go back before his conception, and that's where I could find his light. I couldn't find it there at the birth.
Okay.
or the day after. But finding it there, I could see the chaos that he already had and was coming in to this family to share. And I brought the unseen therapist to that, and I started seeing a spiral going counterclockwise down, and it started calming the chaos. And then a light that started spiraling upward started bringing light up in there and calming the whole chaotic energies there. And at the top appeared a beautiful pink rose. And then you were bringing us out of it, and I started seeing this baby in the middle of the rose, full of light. So then the second time we went down, I went right through all of that again and got right up to the rose. And then I saw the baby and its light developing a web of like you know, like a circle that's full of like 1,000 petals maybe, you know, intertwined like that, but going around and around, coming out like a clear pattern.
Yes.
From behind the baby in light. And so it was all symbolic, I guess.
Well, sure. And one of the beautiful things about this is you don't have to just do this just the way I put it forward here in an exercise. We can use our own imaginations, and that's what makes it so beautiful, because you can really expand on these things your own way with this flower and the petal, and you weren't able to see it at one point, but you could if you went, you know, before the birth, and all of this. This is just you finding your own way in this process to get it done.
And I felt a lot of peace and love in that rose. And
I find the more experience I have with bringing in unseen therapists, the more metaphors that show up. Like you're something about a metaphor in the rose and all of that. I mean, I get a lot of different metaphors that are really peaceful and beautiful and marvelous, you know, as this thing goes on. The other thing I'd mention to you is that however you do these things and end up doing them, you're really working on not this person. You're working on your response to this person.
Yes, I've recognized a lot of that chaos within myself and have worked on that.
One other thing I just want, before we close up here, I want to talk just for a moment about Eben Alexander's book, The Proof of Heaven. Eben Alexander is for those who haven't read it, is a neurosurgeon. And for years, neurosurgeons would say all these near-death experiences are just garbage because the brain goes through some kind of hallucinatory thing, or part of the brain is a hallucinatory thing, and that's what all this is. So here we have a neurosurgeon who was saying all this stuff, and then he has this disease, a form of meningitis, which eats away the very part of his brain responsible for the hallucination, the near-death experience, so to speak. He still has one, glorious one, and he gets complete recovery from an impossible disease, and writes his book about it. So it's an excellent book, and it takes care of the one remaining negative thing about all these near-death experiences and so on. You know, there's nothing left negative about it other than people's just opinions or something. But there's nothing scientific.
He has written a follow-up book now. That was mentioned this last week on Dr. Oz. He had Eben Alexander as a guest.
Yeah, I wasn't aware of that book, but I'll be sure to get it.
I have one quick comment for you.
Sure.
Positive. I've noticed the more I do optimal EFT, the more joy is in my life continuously.
That's the whole purpose of it. Thank you. The more we do it, the more we genuinely bring in the love, the more we are conditioning ourselves along this we're all one idea, instead of being stuck in this dream competing with each other as supposedly separate bodies.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's just continuous joy has been there, and I've noticed it getting more and more.
And
Thank you.
And seeing the beauty in like the woods and our environment.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
is it?
Yeah, is it? Yeah. A Course in Miracles has a interesting little part in it. It talks about, you know, our physical eyes see things, you know, like the forest you were talking about and so on. We see things, we see people, we see the supposed world. But there's also another way of seeing, which it calls vision, which is not using the eyes. And what we're doing with these exercises, you know, for seeing the essence, is we're trying to tap into our vision, and that is to see, if you will, to experience is a better word probably, the essence in other people, the essence in the trees, the essence in all the things that we think surround us, etc. The joy, if you will, we begin to see it more and more and more, but it does take practice. And you've been practicing, you're getting the results. Yay, yay. Hooray, Howard and Cheryl.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, guys. Let me go on. Let me see. Suzanne.
Hi, Gary.
Hi.
I just wanted to talk about the two processes. It was really interesting. There were some similarities and
Suzanne, can you move your camera a little so we can see more of your face? There we go. Good. Thank you. Okay, go ahead.
So in the first one, I chose the father of my son, and I have lots of resistance there.
Okay.
Probably the most there is for me. And I had no problem seeing him as a baby because he and my son are very similar physically. So it was really easy to love him as a baby. However, what happened was, and then I had a second picture of him from his childhood when he was a toddler by a bike. And it was easy to love that too. And then suddenly there he was as an adult man, the way I've known him. And I totally was not seeing any or feeling love.
Uh-huh.
And my mind flipped out. It wandered off because I didn't want to look at him. And I ended up, and I'll just do a tiny detail here. Yesterday, I spent 4 hours doing yard work because it is raining today, and I was using a leaf blower, but it can actually be like a sucker, like a vacuum, so it sucks up leaves. Anyway, as soon as I realized I was back there doing the yard work, I said, no, stop mind, back to this. I find myself back in the loving space, but I was holding the leaf blower.
Okay.
And there was the father, and I still had, so I just lifted the leaf blower and I sucked all the junk away. It's like a flood just came, sucked off into this leaf blower. And when I looked, there was just a shining light.
Okay. Okay, now, let me ask you something, okay? And so this is I gather from what you're saying, this is an exquisite experience.
It was fun.
Okay. Now, if this person showed up in your living room today, would you see them with this as a glorious existence, or would you probably end up having some kind of arguments?
I think it would be a bit of both. I think, at this point, because it's feeling so good, I would do everything I could to look at him in a loving way. I might still have some resistance.
Okay.
And that gets into the second
Well,
thing.
no, don't go someplace else yet. I want to ask you about this if I can. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you've had this experience with him just now regarding him.
Yes.
Okay. So
being able to see just the light.
Okay. Now this is going to be a theoretical question for you. But do your best with it. Okay. If you could maintain that attitude about him perpetually.
Yes.
From this point forward.
Yes.
How would your life change, or would it?
Well, it would be softer. I don't see him very much. I know within myself it would feel good, and I think I would be easier around him.
Okay, so what I'm really trying to point out there is in some occasions I have seen in the past, we will have a nice exquisite experience like this, and it really does just take care of that issue. And when you're around this person again, the animosities just don't show up anymore. This example that I gave early on in this webinar about Marcia and the self-help sessions that I talked about there.
Yes.
Near the end of that, we're doing something with her ex-husband, and her ex-husband and she were they had some problems, a lot of problems before, vanished. Okay, and it basically happened in one or two little sessions that we did, one or two little rounds of it. That's the unusual part. Doesn't usually happen that way, but it can happen here. But the point is, to the extent you can do this and parlay it to other parts of your life, get even better with this person and so on, you get freer. Yes. And a lot freer. Yes. The more you do, the freer you get, the less animosity you have. And if you, I'd ask everybody here, look back, make a list of all your animosities. And of course, you'll be spending a long time doing that if you list them all. Okay. And ask yourself, what good do these things do me? It's an interesting question. Okay.
That relates directly to my second experience.
All right, go ahead.
That was when we were getting rid of barriers. And so I saw him as a baby, and that was easy, easy, easy. And then he popped up as an adult. I went to him as an adult. And I'm not sure what the process was, but suddenly I became aware that, thinking about that garbage that I sucked away from him,
Yes.
that garbage was in my mind too, that I was carrying all these hurts and betrayals, and it was junk in my mind too. So it's like it was in me as well. So I wanted that to go, and I saw it as being in my mind. So I got a cloth and I started to wash my mind to try to wash away the stuff that I was carrying, my stuff, up for him. And as I said, there's a lot of relevancy to my yard work yesterday. I'm here in BC. We haven't had rain for a long time. It is bucketing rain. That's why I had to do that yard work yesterday. But I felt like the cloth wasn't doing enough because the brain has got all these crevices. So I started, perhaps because of the sound of the rain, I had this shower washing through my brain, washing this smudge and crudge out, and it washed down, and the water, this murky water, just went away.
Okay. And it's that kind of thing that I urge everybody to continue doing this kind of practice, because you wash away lots of this stuff. However, we are bombarded 24/7 in the sensory world by other people and irritation and all this kind of stuff. And we are conditioned back into, some of these problems. Yeah. That's why we need to do these kind of exercises and keep doing them, so we gradually move aside, the former conditioning. We're putting new conditioning into it. It just takes practice. I keep saying this over and over again, but I just need to say it. Okay. So, all right, Suzanne, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Corinne from France.
Yes. Hello.
Hi.
Hello, Gary. Yeah. So what I would like to, well, for this exercise, I'm sorry. I need to calm down. Okay. I worked on a person I had resentment towards.
Yes.
So it's interesting. I actually, before doing the exercise, when I did the exercise, I tried to see the baby, and it was too much for me. So I tried to imagine the person in the belly of her mother. That was too much too. So I thought of the person before she would incarnate, so she would be just light, so it should be okay. And even then I felt some discomfort, so I just couldn't really send love to the person.
Okay.
And I evaluated the intensity of what I was feeling, and it was a resentment at 9 intensity.
Okay.
And the second time, before we did it the second time, you talked about, yes, this, the way people exhibiting love or calling for it. So yes. It was a good reminder for me to just, okay, she's just calling for love. So let's take that into consideration when we do the second round. And when we did the second round, I actually could send love to her from before incarnating, and then when she was in the belly, and I tried to do it when she was a baby, and it was okay. And what I realized was the resentment I was feeling was connected to all the empathy that I have a lot of resentment towards this person, and now I know why, because she has a lot of baggage. She came with a lot of baggage, and she's my mother, so I could feel everything since I was a child that was in her because I was empathic since I was a child.
Yes.
I was carrying all that, and my resentment was linked to that. And so I evaluated at the end of the exercise, and my resentment is now at 6, which is nice.
Okay.
6, yeah.
And if you check it out next week, it might be an 8 or a 9. If you keep doing it, it might be a 3 or a 4. I mean, that's what it is for now. But you've had this nice experience, and you have improved some on it again.
Yes. And what was interesting was I could send out love to her, but even though I was sending love from the core of my being, around my core, I could feel all her baggage still there. So I would feel discomfort in my body, uncomfortable emotions that she was carrying in her, and that I'm carrying with me, of course, because, So it was nice to, during the first exercise, I just couldn't feel love because I didn't want to connect with all that emotional discomfort.
Yeah.
But the second time I could connect with her, send love, even though I could feel that discomfort, which was a great improvement.
Yeah.
So,
you can improve still further. I'm gonna step back into in theory land here for a moment. I mean, we all believe we are separate because we're running around inside these separate bodies, and the whole idea of optimal EFT is we're not really separate. We only think we are. We believe we are. There's really this oneness, etc. And so our whole exercise here, and what I'm really doing, you're giving me a chance to reiterate what we've been doing today. The whole exercise has been a way to be able to see beyond this dream of separation. And to the extent that you get plugged in empathically or otherwise to your mother or anybody else, that links you to, it cements you to, it anchors you to the belief in the whole separate thing. She is out there. She is intruding upon me, my separate self, me, Corinne. She's doing that to me. That's all evidence that you are, some of the evidence that you are indeed separate. Okay. We want to get beyond all of that to recognize all of this, including your mother and anybody else that is irritating anybody else on this webinar, is really part of a dream. It actually isn't even happening, even though it seems so very real. And a way out of that is to be able to see the essence of people and not their behaviors, the oneness instead of the separation. I don't know how many times I can say that today. I did it yet again, okay? All right. Anything more, Corinne?
I don't think so. Well, just one thing about the weather. It is true. When I have very intense emotions, the weather changes immediately. It's scary. Okay. So yeah, I have a lot of experiences of that kind. That's all. Thank you.
All right. All right. Thanks, Corinne.
Thanks.
Okay. I think it's one more. Last one would be Celia again. All right. There we are. Okay. Great. All right.
Is it very loud or is it okay?
No, that's fine. Thanks.
Okay. For that exercise, I chose my mother-in-law. And I had no problem to see her as a beautiful baby. And first, I had no problem to extend love. And after a minute, I was confused because I didn't know if the baby was her as a baby or if it was myself as a baby. And then I was not able to extend love anymore. And it became obvious that the love I was not able to give to her was the love I was not able to give to myself.
Okay. Yeah, and thank you, Celia. And although we haven't discussed that today, the lack of love that we have difficulties in seeing in others since we are all one, it is really a difficulty in seeing love of ourselves. What we see in somebody else is what we see in ourselves. If we can't find love in somebody else, that's because we don't have it here. We're exercising to get there, okay? And so that, thank you, that is one of the more important things that were said today, and that is our inability to experience this essence and this love is really our inability to access it for ourselves. And we have work to do. Celia, thank you.
You're right. That is such a big thing for all of us, you know, being able to love ourselves, and what we can't do for ourselves, we can't do for others. If we can't love ourselves, we can't love someone else. True love, the same for, obviously, the forgiveness.
Yeah.
I can't forgive myself. How am I going to do it for others?
And I'm going to say this again, yet from a different angle for today. If we cannot see the love in somebody else, that means we cannot see it in ourselves. And that is why we want to see. Sometimes it's easier to, instead of working on ourselves and finding love in here, is to find it out there in somebody else, which is not really out there, but we think it is, but to find it out there in somebody else. And if we can see it out there, to the extent we can see it in somebody else, then we can see it within ourselves. It's a two-way street. We can see it within ourselves, and we see it within others. We see it within others, we see it within ourselves. So what we're doing today is we're trying to find it in others, and we have barriers to that, okay? Very healthy, okay? The discussion is healthy, okay. One more, we'll talk to Shelley, and then we'll be done for the day. Shelley.
Hi.
Hi.
I had a really rough week last week.
Okay.
I've been really sick for 2 weeks, so I wasn't doing the work I normally do for my son and for my family. And I felt like I was under attack everywhere. Like, it was a really, really rough 2 weeks, and I've been really working hard. And I've been forced to look in the mirror a lot.
Yeah.
I've been studying your sessions this week, and I was really forced to look at myself a lot. And today it gave me an extra boost.
Yeah. Okay. Great.
I'll be on fire this week.
Okay, Shelley. All right, my dear. Thank you so much. Okay, that's going to be it, everybody. I want to thank everybody who participated. Extra kudos to Claudia for her wisdom and her assistance in all of this. That's been very, very helpful. We will have another webinar 2 weeks from today. I'm not sure what the topic is going to be yet. Oh, by the way, don't forget to email me if you have interest in groups. Remember that. Either tell me whether you're going to want to be a host or just join one wherever you are. That can be done by Skype, etc. But make sure you do that. And the next one we do, although I may change my mind, and you'll see this on the website if I do, what I'm thinking of is just opening the floor to just whatever questions you may have at this point, given the assumption that everybody is doing their studies and they're trying it and stubbing their toe and having results and not results. And it'll just be I think 2 weeks from today, a session where we can talk about whatever you want to talk about. So anyway, hugs to everybody. Kisses for all of you.